My name is Dorothy Mae Johnson, and I'm 64 years old. And on July 15th, 2023, I stood in front of 200 of my family members at our reunion in Shelby Farms Park with a USB drive in my hand that contained 3 years of recordings that would destroy my son's life. But first, before I tell you how I got here, where are you watching from today? Memphis like me? Atlanta? Detroit? Houston? Comment your city below because this story needs to be heard everywhere, especially if you've got grown children who think you're too old to know when they're stealing from you. That morning started like any other reunion morning. I was up at 5 a.m. making my famous potato salad, the one with the secret ingredient my grandmother passed down, the one Marcus used to beg for every Sunday when he was little. My hands shook as I diced the potatoes, not from age like my son had been telling everyone, but from knowing what I was about to do. The USB drive sat on my kitchen counter next to the paprika, looking so small for something that held so much pain. 3 years, baby. 3 years of my own child and his wife, Brittany, plotting against me like I was some stranger standing between them and a payday, instead of the woman who worked double shifts in Memphis General's cafeteria to keep a roof over his head. You see, it started so small I almost missed it. That's how they get you when you trust them with your whole heart. First, it was Marcus asking to borrow my credit card for gas, said he'd left his wallet at home. Then Brittany needed my social security number for some insurance form she was helping me with, being so sweet about how complicated Medicare can be for us older folks. "Don't worry, Mom," she'd said, patting my hand like I was already in the nursing home she'd picked out. "We'll take care of everything." And Lord knows they did take care of everything, took care to steal $127,000 from me over 3 years while telling everyone I was losing my mind to Alzheimer's. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up and tell you how a mother's love can blind you to the devil sitting at your own dinner table. My husband Earl passed 8 years ago from cancer that ate him up from the inside out over 18 months. I held that man's hand through every chemo treatment, every surgery, every sleepless night when the pain got so bad he'd cry like a baby. Marcus barely came to visit his daddy in hospice. Too busy with his pharmaceutical sales job, he said. But I understood. Or I thought I did. After Earl died, I was left with the house we'd bought in 1987, his pension that barely covered groceries, and my job at the hospital that I'd kept for 32 years. The house needed work. The roof leaked every time it rained. The furnace was older than my youngest grandbaby, and the foundation had cracks that seemed to grow wider every time I looked at them. But it was paid for, free and clear. The only thing of value Earl and I had managed to build together. Some nights I'd sit on the porch we'd built together the summer Marcus graduated high school, and I'd count the bills, moving money from envelope to envelope like I was playing 3-card Monte with poverty. Electric bill or blood pressure medication, fix the leak in the bathroom, or buy groceries for the week. These weren't choices anybody should have to make at my age, not after working since I was 14 years old. Marcus knew I was struggling. How could he not? He'd see me at Dollar Tree buying generic bread, see me walking to the bus stop in the rain because I couldn't afford to fix my car's transmission. But every Sunday when he'd come for dinner with Brittany, driving up in that new BMW, wearing those $300 sneakers, he'd look around my living room with its furniture from 1995 and shake his head. "Mama, you need to let us help you manage your finances better," he'd say. "You're not getting any younger." What would you have done? When your child, who you birthed after 23 hours of labor, who you taught to tie his shoes and say his prayers, who you sent to Morehouse even though it meant eating ramen noodles for 4 years straight, when that child offers to help, you don't think he's setting you up. You think maybe, finally, all that sacrifice is going to mean something. The first sign something was wrong came in February 2021. I was at the Kroger trying to buy some chicken that was on sale when my card got declined. Now, I keep track of every penny, always have. My envelope system hasn't failed me in 40 years of managing a household. I knew I had $247 in that account because I checked it that morning. The young cashier, bless her heart, looked at me with that pity look people give old black women when they think we can't afford our groceries. I paid with cash from my light bill envelope and went straight to the bank. Mrs. Johnson, the teller said, pulling up my account, there was a withdrawal yesterday for $1,800. See? It was done online. My stomach dropped to my shoes. I don't even know how to do online banking. Earl and I never trusted computers with our money. But when I called Marcus, panicked, he just laughed. Mama, you asked me to transfer that to your savings, remember? We did it together on Tuesday when I came by. You said you wanted to start an emergency fund. I didn't remember any such thing, but he sounded so sure, so patient, like he was talking to a child. Brittany got on the phone too. Mom, this is why we're worried about you. You've been forgetting a lot lately. Maybe we should get you checked out. That planted the first seed of doubt. Not in them. Lord, I wish it had been. But in myself. Was I forgetting things? My grandmother had dementia in her final years. Maybe it was happening to me too. I started writing everything down, keeping a little notebook in my purse, checking it 3 times a day to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything. Sister Gladys at church was the first one to notice something was off. We were at Wednesday night Bible study, and I mentioned I couldn't afford to contribute to Pastor Williams' anniversary offering. She pulled me aside after, her voice low. Dorothy, honey, didn't you tell me last month that Marcus was helping you with your finances? Why are things tighter now? I made excuses, said something about unexpected expenses, but she grabbed my hand with both of hers. My daughter tried something similar with me last year. Started small, just helping with bills. Then suddenly I was getting notices for accounts I never opened. You be careful. Hear me? That night I went home and did something I'd never done before. I went through Marcus's old room, which he still used as an office when he visited. I found a folder hidden behind some old yearbooks, and what was inside made my blood run cold. Credit card applications in my name, some approved, some pending. A loan application against my house for $45,000. Insurance claims for medical equipment I'd never received. And a brochure for Sunset Gardens Memory Care Facility with notes in Brittany's handwriting. $6,000 a month. Medicare covers partial after 90 days. House sale should net $180,000 minimum. My baby boy, the one I'd sung to sleep with hymns, was planning to put me in a home and sell everything Earl and I had worked for. But here's the thing about being a black woman who survived 64 years in this world. You learn not to react right away. You learn to gather your facts, build your case, because nobody's going to believe you over a successful pharmaceutical sales rep and his real estate agent wife. So I did what Sister Gladys suggested. I started keeping records. I bought a little recording app for my phone, the kind that looks like a calculator. My grandson Terrell had shown me how to use apps when he visited last Christmas, though he thought I was just playing word games. Every conversation with Marcus and Brittany I recorded. Every Sunday dinner where they'd casually mention my confusion or suggest I seemed tired lately. I had it all on tape. Comment below if you've ever had to investigate your own family. It's a special kind of heartbreak, listening to your child lie to your face while you smile and pass the cornbread. 3 months into my investigation, I discovered the worst of it. Marcus had been telling the entire family I had Alzheimer's. My daughter Keisha called me crying one day, saying Marcus had told her I'd been diagnosed, but was in denial about it. My son Jerome Jr. started treating me different, speaking slower, explaining things twice. Even my cousins at the beauty shop were whispering when they thought I couldn't hear. Poor Dorothy, I heard Cousin Linda say while I was under the dryer. Marcus says she doesn't even remember Earl dying sometimes. I wanted to jump up and scream that it was all lies, but I kept quiet. Let them think what they wanted. The truth always comes to light. My grandmother used to say, and I was going to make sure it shone bright as the Memphis sun in August. The breaking point came in May 2023. Marcus called a family intervention at my own house. Didn't even ask. Just showed up with Keisha, Jerome Jr., Brittany, and Brittany's mother, who'd never liked me anyway. They sat me down in my own living room, on the couch Earl and I had saved 6 months to buy, and told me it was time to face reality. "Mama," Marcus said, holding my hands like he actually cared, "we've consulted with specialists. The confusion about money, the paranoia about people stealing from you, the forgetfulness, these are all classic signs." Brittany pulled out a folder thick with papers. "We've already started the application process for Sunset Gardens. They have a wonderful memory care unit, and they're expecting you next month. And don't worry about the house," Marcus added quickly. "We'll handle the sale and make sure the money goes toward your care." I looked at my other children, searching their faces for doubt, for loyalty, for anything. But they just looked sad and resigned. Keisha was crying. Jerome Jr. wouldn't meet my eyes. "After everything I sacrificed," I said, my voice steady as the rock of ages, "after walking to work in the snow when the car broke down so you could have basketball shoes, after choosing between my insulin and your college application fees, after holding your daddy's hand while cancer ate him alive and you couldn't be bothered to visit, after all that, this is what you do to me?" Marcus's face didn't even flinch. "See? This is what we're talking about. These false memories, this persecution complex. Mama, you need help." That's when I knew I couldn't wait any longer, but I also knew I needed one more piece of evidence, something so undeniable that even the family members who wanted to believe Marcus couldn't deny it. Mr. Washington, our family attorney who'd handled Earl's will and knew us for 30 years, had noticed someone trying to file power of attorney papers claiming I was incompetent. "Dorothy," he said when he called me, "this signature isn't yours. I've seen your signature on dozens of documents. This is forgery, plain and simple." He had a nephew who was a detective with Memphis PD, Detective James Washington, who specialized in elder abuse cases. When I met with him and showed him my folder of evidence, 3 years of recordings, forged documents, fraudulent insurance claims, credit cards I never opened, he whistled low and long. "Mrs. Johnson, this is one of the most comprehensive cases of elder abuse I've seen. Your son and daughter-in-law aren't just stealing from you. They're systematically destroying your credibility so no one will believe you when you finally speak up." He helped me set up a hidden camera in my living room, completely legal since it was my own home. And that's when we caught the smoking gun. It was a Thursday evening. Marcus and Brittany thought I was at choir practice, but I'd left early with a headache and parked around the corner. They let themselves in with the key I'd given them for emergencies and stood in front of my mirror in the hallway, practicing. "When she's gone," Brittany said, fake tears streaming down her face, "we'll say we tried everything to keep her at home, but the Alzheimer's just got too bad." Marcus practiced his own tears, and I swear on Earl's grave they actually laughed about it. "The family reunion is perfect," he said. "We'll announce that she needs full-time care. Everyone will support us after seeing how confused she's been. By next year," Brittany added, checking her face in the mirror, "she'll be in a home, and we'll have the house. The Medicare funds should transfer by then, too." They high-fived. My son high-fived his wife about putting me in a home and stealing my life. What would you have done in that moment? Would you have burst in and confronted them? Called the police right then? I did neither. I sat in my car and cried until I couldn't breathe. Then I prayed for strength. Then I called Detective Washington and told him I was ready to move forward. The family reunion was 6 weeks away. Every Sunday between then and July 15th, I sat at dinner with Marcus and Brittany, served them greens and cornbread and peach cobbler, smiled when they expressed concern about my memory, nodded when they suggested I seemed tired. I played the role of the declining mother while building my case like a prosecutor. I gathered bank statements showing every forged check, every unauthorized withdrawal. I documented the 5 credit cards opened in my name, total debt of $47,000. The home equity loan attempt that Mr. Washington had blocked, $45,000. The insurance fraud claims for wheelchairs, oxygen tanks, and hospital beds that were never delivered but were billed to Medicare, $35,000. 3 years of theft totaling $127,000, not counting what they planned to make from selling my house. 2 days before the reunion, I went to see Pastor Williams, told him everything, showed him the evidence. That man prayed over me for an hour, then said, "Sister Dorothy, sometimes God's justice comes through our own hands. You do what you need to do." The morning of the reunion, I was calm as a lake at dawn. I made my potato salad, my famous 7-layer dip, 2 sweet potato pies. I dressed in my good navy dress, the one I wore to Earl's funeral, and I put the USB drive in my purse next to my Bible. The reunion was beautiful. Shelby Farms Park was green and lush, kids running everywhere, the smell of barbecue filling the air, 200 family members from across the country, some I hadn't seen in years. Marcus worked the crowd like a politician, Brittany by his side, both of them laying groundwork for what they thought would be their big announcement. I heard him telling Uncle Robert about my declining condition. Saw Brittany crying to my cousins about how hard it was to watch me slip away. They were so confident, so sure of their plan. After lunch, Marcus stood up to make his announcement. He'd even prepared a speech about loving me too much to watch me struggle alone anymore. The crowd was listening, some people already tearing up when I stood. "Before my son finishes," I said, my voice carrying across the pavilion, "I have something everyone needs to see." Marcus tried to interrupt. "Mama, please, you're confused. Baby, I may be old, but I'm not foolish, and I'm certainly not confused." I walked to the front where the big screen was set up for the slideshow of family photos. I need everyone to see what's been happening for the past 3 years. I plugged in the USB drive and hit play. The first video was Marcus and Brittany in my living room, practicing their fake tears. The pavilion went dead silent except for the sound of my son saying, "Once we get her in that home, we'll have full control of everything." The second video was them going through my mail, opening bank statements, with Brittany saying, "The Alzheimer's story is perfect. Everyone already believes it." Then came the recordings. Marcus on the phone with a banker pretending to be me, authorizing a withdrawal. Brittany calling Medicare to file fraudulent claims, both of them laughing about how the old woman would never figure it out. I showed the forged documents, the credit cards, the loan applications. Each piece of evidence was dated, documented, undeniable. Some people in the crowd started crying. Others looked angry enough to fight. Aunt Lucille, our 87-year-old family matriarch, stood up slowly. "Marcus Johnson," she said, her voice shaking with rage, "you are no longer welcome at this table or any other family gathering. You're no blood of mine." Brittany tried to run, but my church sisters, who'd come to support me, blocked her path. "Sit down, child," Sister Gladys said. "You're going to face this." Marcus attempted damage control, claiming the videos were edited, that I was confused, that this was all a misunderstanding. But I had receipts, literally. Every forged signature, every stolen dollar, every lie they told. His sister Keisha was sobbing. "Marcus, how could you? How could you do this to Mama?" Jerome Jr. looked like he wanted to hit his brother. "All those times you said she was sick, that she needed help." Even Brittany's own mother stood up and walked over to me. "Dorothy, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." Then she turned to her daughter. "I knew something was wrong with you, but this is evil." That's when Detective Washington arrived with 2 uniformed officers. I'd arranged for them to come at exactly 3 p.m. They arrested Marcus and Brittany right there at the reunion, in front of everyone, for elder abuse, identity theft, fraud, and forgery. As they were putting Marcus in handcuffs, He looked at me with tears, real ones this time. Mama, please. I'm your son. My son died somewhere along the way, I told him. I don't know who you are, but you're not the boy I raised. The next months were a whirlwind of court dates and legal proceedings. Marcus lost his job immediately. Turns out pharmaceutical companies don't like employees who commit fraud. Brittany's real estate license was revoked. They were both convicted and sentenced to 3 to 5 years in prison, plus ordered to pay full restitution. But here's the thing about justice. It doesn't heal everything. I got my house secured, recovered some of the money, cleared my credit, but I lost my son. Not when he went to prison, but years before, when greed became more important than love. I still make Sunday dinner, but his chair sits empty. Keisha and Jerome Jr. come every week now, bringing their babies, helping me finally fix that leaking roof. We're closer than ever, but there's a shadow over everything, a reminder of what family can do to family. I run a support group now at Greater Bethel AME for elderly folks dealing with family financial abuse. Every Wednesday night, we meet in the church basement, share our stories, offer resources. You'd be surprised how common this is. Or maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you're living it right now. If you're watching this and someone in your family is trying to convince you that you're losing your mind, that you're too old to manage your own affairs, that you need their help with your finances, trust your gut. Document everything. Record conversations if your state allows it. Keep copies of all your financial statements. And don't be ashamed to ask for help from someone outside the family. The Elder Abuse Hotline is 1-800-677-1916. Write that down. Save it in your phone. Share it with someone who might need it. I'm 64 years old, and I work every day at that hospital cafeteria, serving lunch to doctors and nurses and patients' families. My knees hurt, my back aches, and some days I'm so tired I can barely stand. But I'm free. My mind is clear, my house is mine, and the truth is out there for everyone to see. Marcus gets out of prison in 2 years. I don't know if he'll try to contact me. Part of me hopes he does, so maybe I can see some remorse, some understanding of what he did. But part of me hopes he doesn't, because I don't know if my heart could take looking at his face and seeing the stranger he became. Brittany divorced him while they were both in prison, each blaming the other in court. She writes me letters sometimes, asking for forgiveness. I haven't answered any of them. Forgiveness is between her and God. I'm just trying to survive and help others do the same. Last Sunday at church, Pastor Williams preached about truth and light, about how darkness cannot hide forever. I sat in my usual pew, the one Earl and I shared for 20 years, and I thought about that USB drive, so small but holding so much truth. I thought about my grandmother's words about light always finding a way. If you've made it this far in my story, bless you. If you're dealing with something similar, know that you're not alone and you're not crazy. They want you to think you are, but you know your truth. Hold on to it. Document it. And when the time is right, let it shine. Drop a heart in the comments if this story touched you, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You might save them from losing everything to someone they trust. Like and subscribe if you want to hear more stories of triumph over betrayal. And remember, the truth always comes to light, baby. Always.